Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so that potential buyers can learn more about the business and the seller to help them make an informed buying decision. If you would like to learn more about this business, including details like what type of business it is, how much revenue and profit it makes, and all of the assets included with the business, simply visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business's listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and in the description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. So without further ado, let's get into this interview. First up, let's learn a little bit about you. Can you tell us about your background in building and running online businesses?
I have been building and running online businesses for about 3.5 years, ever since summer 2022, which is when I started my first online business. I eventually scaled that store up to maybe $160,000 in revenue per month. We had a team of 4 employees on there and eventually sold that website through Empire Flippers. Now, that was much more of an active management than this website. So in this website, things are much more automated. There's no staff, but I still continue to obviously run the day-to-day of this business, which, it involves about, I would say, less than an hour per week. I mean, it's quite a small store. The way that it's been set up is I've prioritized only the most profitable brands and products in terms of advertising. So the sales that we get are very profitable. And what this means is that the store has been able to average over $1,000 a month in profit while only receiving maybe 4 or 5 orders per month. It's extremely low touch. So this business has been built in a very intentional way where it's designed to be passive. And the reason for this is because most of my focus for the past 1.5 years has been in my real estate investing business. So that's my background in terms of building, running these types of stores. Again, to reiterate, it's something that I've been doing for about 3.5 years.
Why are you selling the business now instead of keeping it and growing it further?
The reason that I'm selling this business is because I'm making great strides in my real estate business, which, as I mentioned in my previous question, has demanded most of my attention for the past 1.5 years. At this point, one option would be to just maintain this current business, keep getting the roughly $1,000 or $1,100 a month in profit, and it doesn't really require any extra work. But at this point, I would much rather just sell the business, take that money, and fold it into my real estate investing business in order to add some gasoline to the fire that's going on there. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of growth potential here. If I was going to keep this business, there's a ton of growth potential. But like I had previously mentioned, I've designed it very intentionally to be something that works for me. But it would be simple for someone else to come in here and take the foundation that I've laid and scale it quite quickly, just because we already have quite a few brands. We have a very strong organic traffic base, and we do have a profitable ads account. But in summary, the reason that I'm selling this business is because I want to take the money from this sale and put it into my real estate investing business.
Can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business to maintain it?
I'll break down the activities that it takes to run this business into a weekly bucket and then into a monthly bucket. The list is pretty short for both. So in terms of things that I'm doing on a weekly basis, whenever an order comes in, I get a notification on my phone. I'll basically go review the order and then export a PDF of the purchase order, which I have an app that does that. And then I email it to the supplier. They send me back the tracking information the next day. I fulfill the order. It's pretty simple. I'm usually doing that maybe once a week or a couple times a week, just depends on the amount of sales that we're getting in. On the occasion that there's some kind of issue with a product or something, then the customer will email me and I'll basically just connect them with the supplier if there's some kind of technical repair that's needed, or I'll coordinate like if they need to return it or if they need parts or something like that. And that's just a matter of emailing, which takes a couple of minutes in the rare times that happens. So that's kind of the weekly things. The inventory is completely updated, or excuse me, it's completely automated. So every single day, the inventory is connected to our suppliers' inventory system. So every day, Shopify updates those inventories. So we're not listing anything that's on back order. We only sell things that are directly in stock. And the reason that we do this is because when we mark them as out of stock, we don't run ads on them. So it's a very, very streamlined business. We're only running ads on products that are in stock. That whole process is automated, updates on a daily basis. And then in terms of monthly, I'll go in for maybe 30 minutes or something into the ads account. I haven't really made any significant changes to the ads account in, I want to say about 6 months. We'll say 4 to 6 months just to be safe. But generally, I'll just go in there, make sure that nothing crazy is going on, nothing crazy is overspending, and then make any gradual improvements or gradual cuts if it seems like that's necessary. So on a weekly basis, it's less than an hour. On a monthly basis, spend about 30 minutes in the ad account. But yeah, that's the total amount of work that it takes to maintain this business. One key thing that I do want to note here, I have a phone system set up. I have a live chat system set up, but I am not actively answering the phone or responding to live chats. And I know that this is absolutely costing us sales, but the fact that the business is profitable without me responding to these incoming leads is sufficient for me because I'm spending so much time with my land investing business that I would rather just have those easy orders roll in. So that's something that I'm not doing now. But if you were going to do that, then it'd probably be maybe a couple of phone calls a week, a couple of live chats a week that you would be responding to. But again, that's something that I'm not currently doing. And the revenue and profit that the business is currently receiving is a reflection of that.
So if you were to keep this business, what are some of the ways you would try to grow it?
The first thing that I would do if I was going to keep this business is run ads on more of the brands that we have. So we have tons of products on this shop. We have, I want to say, close to around 10 different suppliers that we work with. All their products are uploaded to the store, but we only run ads on 2 or 3 of these brands. And the reason for that is because I like working with a couple of the brands and the margins are really good and the ads seem to work pretty well with it. And I'm happy with the profit that we get at that level. That would be the first thing that I would do is allocate a little bit more money towards testing out different brands and then figure out, okay, this one works, this one doesn't work. And that's already set up. All those products are already uploaded. Everything is already there. So that's one thing that I would do. The other thing that I would do that would immediately result in higher sales would be either personally answering phone calls and live chats that, for incoming leads, or I would hire a virtual assistant to do this, hire like a sales virtual assistant to do that. So those are the two things. Responding to incoming leads would probably be the thing that would most immediately impact the sales. After that, I would say your best bet would be to do something with the organic traffic base that we have. So we get quite a lot of organic traffic every month. You could continue to grow that. You could publish more articles that are more targeted towards getting sales rather than informational articles. You could publish articles that specifically talk about the products that we sell, link back to the product pages, and you could get some sales that way. But to keep it in terms of like the 80-20 of what you would want to do, just get someone to answer the incoming leads and run ads on more of the products that we have already uploaded on the store.
Right. And what would you say are the biggest risks with this business that buyers should be aware of?
The biggest risk I would say for this business would be to go in and make significant changes to the ads account. That would represent a large risk, and that's just not something that you would necessarily want to do. Most of our sales are driven by Google Ads. So you would not want to go in and make significant changes unless you had, maybe after a year you could go in and do that. But I would say from the beginning, that would be the biggest risk. Going in, making big changes to the ads account, making big changes to the product pages. You would not want to do that. You would want to keep things running the way they are and build off of what is already there. Now, there are other things that could be risk. You could say that increased competition in the space would be a risk. I could see that potentially playing in, but the way that our ads account is structured, it's very, very targeted. And the sales volume isn't high enough where I think that this would really be a significant risk, but that's absolutely something that, you'd want to pay attention to. The other thing would be is if one of the suppliers went out of business, one of the suppliers that we work with, if they all of a sudden closed up shop, well, okay, now that's a main source of revenue that's gone. So the way that you would mitigate this risk is by running ads on more suppliers. Once you've you would start with just the products that we have already uploaded. So you would make those profitable, and then you would add more and more suppliers. And that would really protect you against any one supplier going out of business and then cutting off that source of revenue. But I would say by far the biggest risk would be going in and making big changes to the Google Ads account. Or, if Google Ads fundamentally changed, that could also be a risk to this business. And you would want to just make a pivot alongside that change. So if AI becomes more a prominent tool in terms of paid advertising, you would want to just make sure to migrate at the same time that that's happening. You would not want to continue to run ads in a traditional Google Ads account if all of a sudden AI is playing a much more prominent role in the way that customers are shopping online.
How much support are you willing to offer the buyer who acquires this business?
I'm happy to offer support for 30 days by phone and by email. We can set up meetings if you have any questions, even if it's things like, hey, how should you expand the ads profile that you have on the existing products? How is it that you're structuring these ads? How are you doing the targeting? Stuff like that. I'm more than happy to get on a call and talk through some of that stuff with you. After the 30 days mark, I'd be happy to give you an additional 60 days of email support. At that point, you're going to pretty much have things up and running, and maybe you have like specific questions about working with a particular supplier or something about Shopify or something about the theme. So in that case, I'd be more than happy to correspond by email. So to summarize, 30 days by call and email support, and then an additional 60 days by email support. And if this is something that is really important for you and you want more support or a different type of support, then I'm happy to talk about that. Yeah, we can kind of just keep that open. But as a baseline, 30 days of email and phone support, an additional 60 days of email support.
Are you open to negotiating something like an earnout agreement?
I am not open to an earnout payment structure in this case. If it was a bigger website, I could understand something like that making sense. But this is going to be something that it's a lot of potential that I'm letting go of here. And the reason that I want to sell it is because I'm trying to focus more on my other business, a real estate investing business. So I'm trying to clear my head from this and focus on other business. So I don't want to be thinking about this business after it's sold. That plus the fact that once it's sold, I don't have control over the earnings. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what kind of changes you're going to make. If you are someone who knows what they're doing, I think you can really build this up very quickly. And you could do a really good job with it. Because the price point is so low and because I have priorities with my other businesses, I would not be open to an earnout payment structure.
Okay, final question. If you had to put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why is your business a business worth buying?
This is not a business that I would say is great for everybody. If you are somebody who has experience with e-commerce, especially if you have experience with high-ticket dropshipping, if you understand that model, if you understand the advantages of that model, and if you are familiar with Google Ads, this would be a great business for you. It's essentially a massive template. We already have tons of supplier relationships. We already have a profitable ads account set up. We already have a couple of brands that are profitable. So it's an amazing starting point. So if I was in your shoes, I have experience running an e-commerce business. I would look at this as a great opportunity. Maybe you recently sold another business. Maybe, for whatever reason, you're ready to commit some time, energy to building something up. This is for you. Maybe you're someone who just wants some really easy passive cash flow. Then this could also make sense for you. But I think that the best buyer in this case will be somebody who is hungry for success in terms of building a business. So I think that a builder is going to be able to do very, very well with this website.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this business is still for sale, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll find everything you need to know about this business. So, thanks for joining us. See you next time.